Hey Nour, I heard you're doing a video on tips nobody talks about.
Yeah.
But you're talking about them.
Yeah.
Does that make you nobody?
What?
You don't exist.
I exist.
You're a figment of my imagination.
No.
Yes.
Hey guys, Nour here, and today we're talking about 6 writing tips no one talks about. But before we get started, I am so excited that my book Divinity Falling is currently out, and if you missed out on the live stream for my book release party, make sure you check it out. I announced my giveaway winners and played fun games with Michael and my awesome writer friend Meg Latour, as well as answered your questions. We had a great time and laughed a lot, so go laugh with us. And if you're wondering where you could get a copy of Divinity Falling, it's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, and bookstores everywhere. And if you go into a store and don't find it on their shelves, be sure to ask them about it. They'll order it to the store for free pickup. And you could even request Divinity Falling at your local library. I will also leave all the links for where you could get Divinity Falling in the description below. And also, this shirt is part of my Divinity Falling merch, which you could find in the description below, along with other cool Divinity Falling merch. So obviously, today I wanted to talk about some writing tips that no one really talks about. And these are tips that make your life easier, but it's almost like no one acknowledges them. Well, some of these are writing tips that I discovered on my own over the years, which is why I think I need to share them. If I don't, who knows if anyone will? I may very well be the only person who knows some of these tips. Maybe not, but let's find out. I'll start with a tip that you might have heard of, and then go on to other tips that you probably haven't. Okay, my first tip. Don't give your work in progress to just about anyone. And I'm not just talking about giving your book to a stranger on the street before you've even copyrighted or published the book. What I am saying is, don't give your book to all your friends or even family. Not everyone close to you will understand why you write or give you constructive feedback. And some people won't even know the proper way to give constructive feedback and will tear apart your story. Trust very few people with your baby. I mean, even famous writers are very cautious with who reads their book before it's out into the world. Tip number 2, don't write sitting in your bed. They say that doing any sort of work in bed is bad for you because then you'll associate your bed with work and won't fall asleep properly. Or vice versa, you'll sit down to work and get sleepy. Okay, I am very much guilty of writing in my bed, but I also live in a cramped apartment and feel the most comfortable working in my bed. But don't do what I do better. Tip number 3, don't rush to come up with a story title before your story is complete. Now, if a good relevant title comes to you early in the writing process, that's great. But if you can't think of a good one, don't try to. Leave it until you finish your book. The best titles come to fruition once we finish the story and can look at it with fresh eyes. We see metaphors, themes, repeated imagery, and those can inspire a good title. So bottom line, don't rush for that title. Trust me, I've done that in the past. Not a good idea. Tip number 4, don't name your characters placeholder names that will be hard to edit out later. I actually saw someone post about this on Twitter, if I'm not mistaken. They named their main character a placeholder name, but when they went back to change it in the Find and Replace tool in Microsoft Word, they stumbled upon a big problem. Why? Well, because they named their main character Will, which meant that every will verb also got swapped out with the new name. For example, Will you sit down became Michael you sit down ? Yeah, so just be careful what placeholder name you actually use. Tip number 5, don't write on a letter-sized document. This one is a tip I came up with when I first started writing. Make your document page novel-sized, roughly 8x5, and shrink your margins to fit more words on the page. Why does this help you? Well, it's less intimidating to look at. It takes less time to finish a novel-sized page than a letter-sized page. You can even more accurately judge how many pages your book will turn out. It's just better for your sanity, honestly. Tip number 6, don't forget to put some sort of scene divider, such as 3 asterisks, to indicate scene breaks. This is to help you in case you change your story's format later on and now you have scene breaks at the top of the page or the bottom of the page, and you can't really tell that there is a break at all. Just add them. They'll make your life way easier when you read through your finished story. Plus, it'll also help your future editor out too. You don't want them guessing if you meant to add a scene break or why two separate scenes are merged into one. Trust me, it's a life changer. So those are my tips for you. I hope you found them helpful. Let me know in the comments if you have any other writing tips that not a lot of people talk about. Also, for those who received their copy of Divinity Falling, thank you so much for your support, and I hope you're enjoying the adventure. And when you finish reading, don't forget to leave a review on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and/or Goodreads. Every little bit helps the success of the book. And remember, Nour for president!